Time to rejoin the conversation. Okay, and we are back, and here we go. Party politics. So, between the Mueller indictments and Hollywood's uncovering its many, and I am using air quotes, bad actors, what is happening to powerful men? I'm going to actually bring that down to just what is happening to men. Because when we were talking earlier about the Texas shooter and all of the other mass shooters out there, there's something happening to men that I don't really understand, and maybe with a panel full of men of quality and one anonymous female, maybe we can find out something.
Well, I don't think it's what's happening to men. I think that a lot of things I think you're talking about two different things, though. We're talking about the bad actors in Hollywood and mass shootings, two very different things, because I'd have to go back and look, but it seems like the ones I can think of off the top of my head have been younger men. For the mass shooters.
Yeah. Yes.
So what's happening in that generation it would be a different question.
And the reason I just blankly said men is the mass shooters are generally younger. But
you're talking about
the Hollywood people, they're all 50s and up.
Okay, that
let's separate it. Let's keep it separate.
But there is this isn't new behavior. This is behavior that now has become unacceptable to enough people that feel empowered to say something about it, whether it's a man or a woman, because it's not. Yes. Mostly women have come out and said, these people have sexually harassed or raped or, whatever. But it's
except for the Kevin Spacey victims, they've all been men, which is
really
good. Said he was
it's the same thing.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying it's not just women that are doing it, but there is a mindset of, maybe mindset's not the right word, but that is a generational thing. Like, that was socially acceptable to do that.
The casting couch.
And you look at things just are becoming more. People are feeling more empowered, and I think that it goes back to, you and I have this conversation. It drives me crazy. If you're gonna say something, say something. Don't wait for decades to go by to say it. But I say that because I am older, but I was in a job where me and another girl were sexually harassed, and we did what we were supposed to do. We talked to our boss. He did nothing. We talked to the owner of the store. They did nothing. So we ended up leaving. But it's one of those things where it's kind of that group. It's almost like the mob mentality where you feel comfort in numbers, like you're not the only one that's out there. But it's not a new thing. People are just now saying something about it.
Yeah. I guess what I'm noticing, of course, let me put out the caveat. Of course, that in government, there's been, bad actors way before this particular administration. But I guess what I'm noticing is that, men are, and maybe it's just because that's something that I've never really had psychologically. I've just never thought that way. That it's so odd to me, but it's just, like with the Mueller investigations, finding that Manafort, I forget the other guy, and Papadopoulos were, they were, doing business with Russian and Ukraine people, and it seems like Manafort's probably into some Russian oligarchs for like $17 million. Which actually brings back why what's your price question. It just seems like so many people have a price, and it's not money all the time. Like in this indictment stuff, it seems like the price was money, but you've had so many, between Hollywood and people in the government, Anthony Weiner, like you've got all these people whose price is sexual, but everybody seems to have a price, and I guess I don't fully understand, what is making people behave so badly.
It's power.
I mean, to me, it's
power,
always
whatever that means to people, though. Like, power for me may mean something different than power to you.
And political power is corruption.
And I mean, it goes back to, power can corrupt, and you get a taste of it, and you think that, especially in this day and age of everything is recordable and savable and screenshots, and you have people that can recover something from a tiny ash. It's just ridiculous to think that you're not going to be caught.
I think it's there's no straight line to success anymore. There's no
doing it the hard way or doing it the
picket fence type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a 13-year-old kid that can go with his mom to the dollar store every day and buy a toy and sell it on Amazon and create his own wealth. So it's like there's so much opportunity. It's like a gold rush right now, and anybody can do anything. And with that, it's like, okay, well, who are you to tell me that this is the right way or this is the right way? People just, have their own minds, their own identity, and I kind of think that people just kind of do what they want to do.
Yeah, but once again, it goes back to that loss of morality, because you can have your own mind and do your own thing, but is it the right thing?
Well, and see, that's the thing. I think morality is like, I think morality is like, it's seen in, I think it's seen it under different.
It's different than it was back in the day.
Well, no, I think some people see morality just, because your morality may be different than John Smith's morality, you know what I mean? And so it's like there's no, what is morality?
It's a little bit of right and wrong. An understanding of right and wrong. And that sometimes can be hard for people to comprehend what's right and wrong.
Yeah, I think
people are going to have different views of what's right and wrong.
For sure. I think it's a reality seen in individual eyes. Your reality is going to be different than mine and Mario's, morality rather. And it's like...
But if you're going to be, as we're dealing with men here, a man of quality, then your reality has to be fairly strong.
Well, and I think it doesn't, and maybe, I'm obviously I'm not a man, so I can't fully speak to that, but I think that
I'm just using that because that's kind of where we head.
Yeah, but as a mother, there's certain morals and values and just behavior that I teach my daughter, and ways that I teach my son, that how he should respect or behave, or but and also to the point of there's certain ways that his father expects, you're a man, these are the things that and I don't know, and obviously I'm not in everybody's home to know, but I think that there are certain things that just aren't taught anymore. and I'm not saying that it's okay, but even in school, you know, as I was growing up, that's when they kind of started the stranger danger and good touch, bad touch. And, you know, if your parents hit you, that's abuse. And, you know, by the time my children were in school, parents were truly afraid to discipline their children.
Which is a problem with education.
I don't know if it's a problem with education.
It's a problem in the educational institutions.
I don't know. I think that I don't think you can blame it on one specific thing. I think that you can take the teachings of a school and explain it in the right way to your children.
I want to take Rio for an example. Rio is the man he is today because of a couple of things. Number one, his mother had to raise him singly, and then she married Pops. Mm-hmm. Pops was an outstanding man in a lot of ways. And Mario, especially in Pops' latter years of his life, was just outstanding to him. It shows the quality of a man. Mm-hmm. Mario had grandparents. Mario grew up in the south side of Chicago. He had so many things that could have pulled him asunder from all that. But you look at these things and the influences that he had, that he was raised as a man. The fact that his mother sent him to a Catholic school.
But that's not the education. But that is a parent. But
that's my point. That's exactly where I'm heading. Mm-hmm. Is that there are a lot of parents in the world that have forgotten how to raise their children. If you're going to have a child, you have to have that responsibility to raise that child, to give them some morality, to take them to a church and let them understand what religion is so they can make their own decision about their religion, whether they want to pursue religion or not pursue religion. But you have to give your child all the options that are important to make that child a person that can make decisions and be an independent person.
I think that
hold that thought 1 second, because I feel Chris's brain bubbling, but he hadn't had a chance to jump in yet.
No, I just enjoy listening sometimes. I guess I would say probably 3 really quick things. One, we talk about morality as if, like you were saying, Jordan, and that there's one thing that everybody's universally agreed on, and these guys, everybody out there has done things that are just objectively immoral, and so let's get on their ass. I don't know that that's entirely true. There's a lot of things that I don't consider to be immoral at all that I'm sure other people do, and vice versa.
That's the individuality that Jordan and I were talking about some.
Well, yes and no. I mean, because I do think the oldest philosophical truth in the world, and it takes 1 second to understand it, is the second you say that morality is relative, you've just set that up as an objective truth. Hence, there's objective morality somewhere in the world. We just don't know what it is, you know, and that's part of the fight, is to figure out what that is. So, I do think there's right and wrong in every situation. The struggle's knowing what it is, and we're not going to agree on the knowing what it is, which is where it really comes down to.
But there's still a base, though.
Not really.
Yeah, I think there is a base.
And I think we're putting way too much credit and blame on other people, parents, schools, all this stuff. My parents are great people. I don't do jack shit about what they say. I mean, they tried to teach me what they thought was right and wrong, and then I had to eventually think about what I thought was right and wrong.
But you were wrong.
But so what? I mean, it doesn't matter. At some point, you be responsible for what you do. Able to back it up.
I'm a rogue in my parents' eyes too, so you know.
Sure, I just don't think. I think we're putting giving them way too much credit for their ability to influence kids, and B, assigning way too much blame when the kid fucks up. I don't think either of those things are true. And then lastly, I would say, take like a Harvey Weinstein, for example. He's an interesting case, or even a Kevin Spacey to some degree. Their realities change dramatically. Their reality doesn't stay the same. And so it's one thing to go, okay, you know, I'm a struggling actor, and nobody wants shit from me because I don't have anything to give.
When did Weinstein start?
Hang on. So all of a sudden you find yourself in a position where I'm going to guess, and this is, I do not want this to come out as victim bashing, because I believe that a lot of these women are being at least semi-brave now to the best of their ability, although they should have done it years ago, to come out and go, okay, here's the behavior that I experienced. I also think there are a lot of little harlots that went up there and sucked them off to get a movie role, and
Absolutely.
now they're claiming
That's the casting
harassment.
couch.
My point exactly. So it goes a little bit both
I don't
ways.
deny that at all.
You know, and I don't know what his reality is. I have no idea. Do I think? In my mind, I think there's a difference between bad behavior and then when you become a criminal. Like
Right.
if he raped any of these women, which it seems very likely that he definitely raped Paz de la Huerta in New
He's a
York
criminal.
City, then he should be locked up and thrown away.
If he could serve
Otherwise,
him
he
into
just
sex,
seems
he
like
could
an
serve
asshole.
him into sex, right?
Well, so here's what I find interesting. Ashley Judd was one of the first people to break the story when she came out. And she said, well, we were doing, this movie, and he took me up to his hotel room and asked me to, massage him naked and all this. And she goes, I felt really horrible and uncomfortable and left. And then I did 3 more movies with him. I'm like, well, really? I mean, like, what the guy is at that point. There's no mystery anymore.
Yeah,
and
that's something that
I've shows that could go back 3 more times. Even, and I don't mean this in a bad way. And again, this is not to bash even Paz de la Huerta, who told the story. Well, he invited me to his place, then he raped me, and then he invited me back like a month later. So I went back, and he did it again. I mean, what do you think was going to happen the second time?
Yeah.
At some point, it's just...
To me,
it's a
though,
little-
He came back the second
To
time,
me,
he's thinking it's
though-
consensual.
I don't think...
In his mind, in his mind.
Yeah,
I just think
don't-
he has the power to always get away with it.
But I
in his
don't
head.
think that. I think there's a difference between that happening to Ashley Judd. We'll use those 2 examples. She never went back to his place again.
No, she did.
No, she
Yeah,
didn't.
oh, absolutely she did. Guaranteed.
I
If you read
don't
the entire
think so.
article.
Because well, I would say because I watched the interview with her, and I don't
even
recall her
more-
saying that.
And I'll even go on the assumption that she did not go back up to his bedroom, which I believe that she did. But regardless, knowing who the guy is and everything that he's doing, because you can't assume it's just happening to you. And Ashley Judd has always come across as I'm a strong feminist woman. I do all these other things.
I don't think
You're
I-
perpetuating that cycle for other women, and that I find to be a really horrendous thing. It's
I
very
think
sad.
that's where my problem is with anybody that chooses to stay silent if they know that this kind of stuff is happening, because they're predators and they know they're predators and they know they're going to get away with it. But at the same time, you have to think about you're stepping out knowing that you're completely committing career suicide. You're never going to be able to work in that industry again. You're talking about a 16-year-old girl and this powerful man or woman. I mean, and yes, we're talking about men here, but I'm sorry, it can happen to men too. By women, it's not unheard of. So it's the power position that you're
Angelina
talking
Jolie
about.
keeps working just fine. And she'll tell you she was a young actress, that's why she went upstairs, blah, blah, blah. But she at least had the decency to go, oh, fuck you, I'm never working with you ever again. And did it. And sent over Brad Pitt to kick his ass,
Yeah.
He was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, actually.
You said
I
Gwyneth
can actually
Paltrow, but
respect
she
her.
did work with him again. They said
So that was my point. It was
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie that did not.
Yeah.
It was Gwyneth Paltrow that is in the exact same position as Ashley Judd. These massive feminist icons that are always outspoken when it's
I
ever
think it
anybody
kinda-
else. But when
it
it happens
goes
to
back-
this, it's like,
Hats.
oh, but I don't want to ruin my career.
That's 2 different things, Dave.
No, I
Those
know.
are 2
I
different
mean,
I
things.
had to throw that in, though.
it's just at some point if you're expecting other people to do the right and brave thing when it doesn't affect you, then when it does affect you, you need to be willing to do the right and brave thing. too.
I'll tell you what bothered me more than the women coming out was the men that said, yeah, they told me about that a long time ago and I should have said something then. Yeah, you damn well should have said something then.
There's a lot of hypocrisy in it, and
Well, Ben Affleck
that's
was a
one thing. The
classic.
average American
Yeah.
looks at Hollywood and says, "You guys are the biggest bunch of
The
damn hypocrites
person
we've
that
ever seen."
stands by and knows it's happening and doesn't do anything about it is just as bad as the person that
Bingo.
did
I
it.
agree.
Well, it's funny.
Gotta get out 6 months.
One of the reasons that I wanted to kind of bring it up and kind of bring it to what's going on with men, because I always think about during your grammar school, high school years when you see people getting bullied, and you see people getting bullied, and so many guys in particular, and women too, definitely, see other guys get bullied, or see women get harassed, or girls get harassed. And I think those formative years, when basically nobody says anything, other than don't go there by yourself, or walk in a group, or I just wonder where and I think you had a great phrase, like, where's that courage? Like it seems to be so.
We talked about that movie too. I can't remember the name of it, but Jodie Foster was in it. And it was based on a true, I believe it was based on a true story. Yeah, where she was at the bar and got gang raped.
It wasn't the accuser, but it was something like that.
Something like that. I know what you're talking about. And
she went through, you go through, it doesn't matter what the whistleblowing is about. The person that does it first is always the.
But this went on for 30 years. There was clearly, I'll give you the last 15 years, where enough of these women who it had happened to were in power positions that nobody could dispute their stories at that point.
They did.
And you don't think they knew each other? They did.
They did talk about it. They did.
To who?
But nobody, to each other.
Right.
They warned each other. They warned other people. They talked to their significant other.
They'll tell you they use their public voice to tell you about the fucking rainforest in Africa. That's okay, but they don't want to talk about sexual harassment, which is
we often
that's
talk
my
about
problem
how I
with
don't have I'm
it.
probably like a horrible feminist person, I just don't always side with women. It's kind of like, I feel like you're right. You've had a voice for a long time now. You could have said something. Why did it take?
I think middle America kind of looks at it and kind of goes, you guys are a creation of your own damn selves.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking at something, and I want to say, was it Brett Ratner? One of the guys.
Yep.
And one of the ladies who was coming out against him, and she said when she, had told somebody else, they're like, "Oh shit, you got Ratnered?" Like, I was like, damn, it's like, it's so...
it's a verb?
Right, it's so prevalent that it's a verb. Like, you got Weinsteined. Like, that many people know, and
that's shameful. They should be so ashamed of themselves for being...
Well, and I guess that's, I think that it's entirely another show, why people don't speak up. But, I just wonder why.
There's a fear factor over your career.
Well, absolutely, but
that's why they don't speak up, because that was the Hollywood indoctrination. Of what it took for you to stay successful in Hollywood, is that you had to kowtow or go through certain things that certainly bothered you in order for you to think that you had to stay ahead. And then once they got enough power, maybe they feel they didn't need that anymore. But this man certainly welded a lot of power.
Absolutely. I mean, up until quite recently.
And the other thing that bothers me is I'm a sex addict. All of a sudden you're a sex addict and you're going to go get help?
I think the strangest one that I did here was the Kevin Spacey one, and I think he got all the slamming and public outrage that he deserves. One, raping a 14-year-old boy is just absolutely inexcusable. But then coming back and going, oh, and by the way, I'm gay.
Yeah,
that was the reason.
I got my excuse.
Right, exactly.
Bullshit.
You've just insulted every gay person I know.
I'm like,
by equating them with child molesters.
Exactly. I'm like, there's
you are a pedophile.
Right. There's a very big difference between being a gay man and being a pedophile. World.
Do you really think that that's what he is, though? Because I am not excusing what he did, But he was also young.
He was 26.
Well, yeah, at the time.
Okay, let's say I'm 23 years old, which I assume he was probably at that.
Yeah, I think
He
it's
was 20. I thought he was 24.
He was 26.
Whatever.
The kid was
And it's not. Let's say I got a 14-year-old girl. What's that called?
Yeah, to
Is
me,
it any different because it's a 14-year-old boy?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all.
It's still statutory rape. That is a felony. It's statutory rape. At 24 years old, you should have enough in your head to understand that, okay, if I'm 34 and this person's 24, then that's consensual. But not at 14. That law is in place because that 14-year-old does not have a developed brain enough to understand what that 14-year-old is getting into. That is statutory rape. There's no other excuse for it.
I mean, if you go back and you look at R. Kelly, I'm like, he was assaulting and pissing on teenage girls, and his big excuse was like, okay, so define teenage, teen at the end of their age is a big definer.
So that's like Bill Clinton saying define sex?
Yeah, I'm like, at a certain point.
Well,
at
least that's a whole other conversation.
But conservative in the group.
But the funny thing is, it gets back to the whole power conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
When these men find themselves in a certain position of power, how they manipulate the system so they can continue with this bad acting. And it doesn't seem to be that big a line between hiding the fact that you were working for foreign governments all the way down to you're casting couching women. It's just men get into a certain position of power and lose their goddamn minds. And out there in podcast land, speaking for the rational part of our gender, I don't get it. I don't understand it. When I'm in the mall and we walk past, there's there's a Victoria's Secret, then there's Pink, and then there's a teenage version of Pink called Airy. That's for teenagers.
Well, Pink is the teenage version of Victoria's Secret.
Well, either way,
this is what the point. You don't even know that.
When I see those, I'm in the mall and I see the little mini billboards in the mall for the stores. It's hard for me to even look at those because I know that those are underage girls. And
as a 6-year-old man, how can I go into a titty bar, quite frankly, and look at somebody that could be my granddaughter? I'm going, man, that ain't something I'm going to do. That is beyond my scope of being able to deal with it. I can't do it.
So,
and I haven't done it in 20 years.
Yeah, so I don't know if we've solved anything, but I think we can agree that if you're out there bad acting, stop it, and stop it now. If you've been bad acted against, say something, and say something now. Don't wait 30 years and then come out with it. Because in a way, you've been condoning it for all these years by not acting, and that is definitely not to victim bash, but that is to victim empower. Like if you got to say something, say it. Get it off your chest because it can only get worse. And with that, we'll be right back. Hey, you having a good time? Let me introduce you to a couple of my media brothers. First, www.americathemixtape.com, a cipher on American politics, society, and culture. And where'd I get that mixtape? Of course, www.cornerbodega.us, purveyors of urban culture. Come on, let's get back to the party. And we are back, and before we get out of here, let's talk about today's sugar, honey, iced tea. And for those that don't know, these are things that I or a member of the group have found that are really cool, aka the shit. And today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, new Marvel movies. So for anybody out there that is following the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the latest in their installment toward building their universe, Thor Ragnarok, came out Friday. And
What's the name of the movie?
Thor Ragnarok. And it is hilarious. Probably the best reviewed of all of the Marvel movies so far.
So it has comedy in it?
It's really funny. I was actually surprised that they all have some element of comedy, but it was really funny. It was, well, one, they chose a director that comes from comedy to do the Thor movie. There's a ton of Easter eggs and things that are thrown in there.
Is it subliminal?
Well, okay, so no, it's just funny. It's just flat out much funnier than I was expecting it to be.
It was a good movie. I mean, it had a good story.
Do they kind of, I'll take Shrek for something. There's all kinds of, some of these best animated ones have been, there's adult humor in it.
Yeah. No,
so they got something for the kids, but they throw that adult humor into it, which makes us fun to watch too.
This is definitely.
So would you classify it as that?
No, it was just flat out humor.
Yeah, it was just flat out humor. It was just funny. Like, it was a theater full of adults, and we were all cracking up because it was just really funny. I will say, for anybody out there in podcast land that has ever been into comics, in particularly the Marvel comics, Thor Ragnarok is a story mashup between the Thor Ragnarok story and the Planet Hulk story, which is why you wind up with both of them in the movie. Because in the Planet Hulk story, Hulk gets captured to be a gladiator for I forget his name, but the guy's played by Jeff Goldblum. And Thor winds up getting captured to be a gladiator, and they wind up having to fight each other and then fight the man to get out of captivity. But the larger story is you find out about some lineage of Thor's family that you didn't know about, and he has to fight Hela, which is the goddess of death that is threatening to destroy all of Asgard. And like I say, really funny. There's a couple of characters that definitely go to the Ragnarok story, one being the Valkyrie. Another character that it's really funny, has the craziest accent. I forget his name, but he was made completely of rocks. He's directly from the the Planet Hulk story. And so they found a way to fuse both of those stories together, come up with a really good and really funny movie that I think anybody out there that's a fan of these Marvel movies, and if you were a fan of the comics, you will definitely enjoy quite a bit. I'm not going to go any further into it because you should probably, if you're a fan, go out there and see it. I know Chris is a fan as well, but I know he hasn't seen it yet, so I'm not going to hit him with too many spoilers, but just enough that
there are a couple extra scenes though. One right at the end of the movie, and one at the end of the
end of the credits altogether. So yeah. So anybody out there that goes to these Marvel movies, you know that there's post credit scenes, and there are 2 in this movie. So please go watch it, enjoy yourself. It's really funny.
And this is the last of the Thor movies.
Of the actual Thor movies, yeah. So the next time we see Thor will be Avengers Infinity War. So, with all that, I'm going to end this podcast in the way that I end all podcasts, and that is with the toast that started it all for me, and that is to good times with good people.